everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we've got an interesting knife review for you guys. Stealing a little line from Metal Complex. And yes, wipe those confused smiles off your faces. Pick your jaw up off the floor. We'll be talking about this in due time. Alrighty, let's go ahead and start off with a blade length measurement. Oh, this is the Cold Steel Spartan, by the way. Sharpened edge, gonna be a little bit hard to measure because part of it's missing, but also because it's a recurve. But sharpened edge, we're going to say coming in at about 4 1/4 inches. Overall blade length, or at least what's left of it, about 4 1/2. This is a big honkin' knife. Let's go ahead and get our size comparisons out and demonstrate that. Starting off with the rats, there's the 2, and there's the 1. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see here. Let's bring out our USA made comparisons. There's the PM2. And there's the bug out. Sweet. Let's bring out our Civivi comparisons because tradition dictates it be so. There's our Elementum. And there's our Praxis. Yeah, it's a big freaking knife. What were you expecting? It's a chonker. It's a big boy. It's a bruiser. And let's go ahead and compare against some cold steel knives because we got to. Here it is against the Engage. And here it is against the SR1 Light. / SR1 because they're the same size. And last comparisons, we're going to go ahead and bring out my favorite, the 8015, and the 4 Max Scout, which is a little more similar in size. Oh, yay, my air conditioning turned on. Wonderful. All right, what are we looking at for our materials on this guy? Well, we have a OS 10A blade, as you can see right there. We've got plastics here. What does Cold Steel call it? Called Grivex? I can't remember what Cold Steel calls their plastic, but that's what we got here. Steel pocket clip, triad lock, of course. We're running on washers. Yeah, let's go ahead and go cut some stuff. Well, guys, here we are. One heck of a good view, isn't it? The Oregon Mountains, these are an S-tier mountain range, in my opinion. All right, we're doing it. We're reviewing the Cold Steel Spartan. Finally, I've had this knife for a long, long time. I don't know why I never reviewed it. I just didn't, but we are going to fix that in this video. So, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's start off with that action. This is very similar to most cold steel knives. Can be a little bit of a finger guillotine. And especially this guy, yeah, this one will, I trust this one will lop off a finger. But you got a thumb disc / plate wave deployer here. You can slow roll out very, very nicely. It's very smooth and controlled, you know, not on bearings or anything like that. But again, if you're used to cold steel knives, you kind of know the kind of action to expect here. And I think it's a good action. You can flick it out if you know what you're doing, right, like that. But of course, the funnest way to deploy this guy is with the wave deployment. And maybe we will talk more about this when we get to the carry. But there you go. That's probably the fastest way to do it. I just realized the sun is in a bad spot right now. I'm filming out here after work right now, so it's like 6 o'clock, and I'm facing west. So you can imagine the problem I'm running into, right? The sun is setting that way, but this is a prettier view, so we gotta face this way. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the ergonomics. Very, very interesting. This is modeled after a Greek kopis, And you have this hook back here, and also kind of a hook up to the front too. This is a little bit of a restrictive handle, right? But it's pretty comfortable. Now, I would say my hand is maybe even a little bit small for the handle. I think if you have a hand that's a little bit bigger than mine, it's going to be just about perfect because you're going to be, filling up this thing entirely. But it's very secure. I mean, this thing's not coming out of your hand. That's got you hooked. You're not going to be running up on that blade. You can choke over here if you want to get close to the blade and use it for something. You can actually choke back here like this if you want to do some chopping. I have done that. But if your hand is too big, this is probably not going to be fun for you because you're going to be cramped and squished in here. This could be sharp, could be poking you. So the ergonomics, I think are fine, but I think they're very circumstantial too. Like person to person, the ergos are going to change a lot. Like I said, this knife is almost not very comfortable for me. In fact, this is one of my least favorite cold steels ergonomically, just because my hand is maybe a little bit small. But I said least favorite no, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite ergonomically, but it does feel a little bit awkward sometimes just because of the way, or just because of the size of my hand. But it's not bad. The scales are contoured. There's some interesting texturing going on. So yeah, your mileage may vary. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the carry. It's a big damn knife, folks. It's a big knife, but us cold steel fanboys are used to that. We expect that. We want our cold steel knives to be big and bad and just over the top. It's heavy, it's wide, it's thick. Take that into account, right? I don't really care that much. What I do care about, though, is this pocket clip. So the thing that this pocket clip does right is it's reversible. Cold Steel sends you another one in the package, so you can put it on the other side if you're a lefty. The bad thing about this pocket clip is literally everything else. I hate this pocket clip. This is the worst Cold Steel pocket clip, and that's saying something because Cold Steel are known to have pocket clip issues from time to time. This one is absolutely atrocious. There's almost no space under there. This texturing does not help very much. It's super tight. Let's see if I can even get it into my pocket. We got it in. That is not always guaranteed. And there you go. And actually, these poor pants have been broke in, if you can see. These are very typical knife guy pants. I do not like this clip one bit. I do not like it, Sam I am. I do not like this clip in my hand. Actually, ergonomically, the clip's not bad, but I'm trying to be Dr. Seuss here. So yeah, the pocket clip I think is a huge L. You really have to be careful about what you're doing when you're putting this back in your pocket to get it in there right. Yeah, it's not very good at all. And also, sometimes I'll have it where I get like my pocket seam stuck in here. It's just not a great clip. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the bottom line. But let's go ahead and do some more of those wave deployments because, that's always fun. When I carry this knife, and I have carried this knife quite a bit, what I'd actually do is put it in my back pocket and just let it sit in my back pocket. Just sit in there like that. And so then when I needed to use it, just pull it out like that. So, I hate the pocket clip. Alrighty, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. Austin A blade here. You guys know how I feel about Cold Steel's Austin. I love it, if you don't know. I think it's a great, great steel. Recurve blade. This is one heck of a chopper and one heck of a powerful cutter. This thing... Oh, and it's wicked sharp, too. Oh, man. Oh, I wonder... We're going to do something a little bit different here, guys. We're going to stick this piece of cardboard in my cutting board right here. Didn't quite hold in there good enough. Let's see if I can fix it. If I had a way to secure them in there better, that'd look a lot cooler, but you can still see here, very nice clean cuts. Not that that's really, you know, diagnostic of anything, but oh my goodness, it's just fun. This knife cuts really, really dang well. Let's go ahead and pull out our rope here. I guarantee you this is not going to be an issue whatsoever. Woo! Let's go ahead and do some crunchy crunches. 1, 2, 3. Yep, to no one's surprise, it crunched through with flying colors. Oh man, we are gonna have to go and chop some stuff for the review. I know it. All right, let's go ahead and do our pool noodle. See how this turns out. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is a big, thick knife, but the geometry is done excellently. So I went thick on that first one, but man, we passed through just beautifully. Didn't bind up, didn't snag. We just sliced the foam all the way through. This one, a little thick, same thing. And then we went really thin on this one. I think I could have even gone a little bit thinner, but holy cow, guys. Cold steel, once again, impresses. This is a big honking blade that can do just all kinds of cool stuff. And you know what? This is a cold steel video, so we gotta do a water bottle chop, right? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Alrighty. For the cold steel gods, Lynn Tompkin and Andrew Demko. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Fuck yeah! Alrighty guys, I promised you some, oh my gosh, get out of there. I promised you guys some chopping with the Spartan. And normally I do stuff like this out in the woods, but I haven't had a chance to go out in the woods recently. So instead we're going to be chopping this branch, this log that got blown down from my tree. I've been having a lot of storms recently. Probably going to have another one later today. But I've got a bunch of wood all over my backyard because my poor trees can't handle the storm. So we're going to chop this one up. This is pecan wood out of my pecan tree. And yeah, let's go ahead and do the dang thing. Make sure you guys can see this. What? Maybe we'll get even closer. We gotta be intimate with this, right? Holy crap! Holy crap! Okay. Look at that. All right, let's see if I can find the other pieces of that. Holy snap. That's never happened before. The lockup is still rock solid, so yeah, you will break every piece of your knife before the triad lock. Holy crap. Where'd the rest of the pieces of the blade go? Did I throw them behind my head? Okay, we're gonna take some time and find these. Okay, so I was not able to find this piece. I did find this piece. I'll probably go out there and look again. But let's discuss. Was I expecting this? No, I was not. Not at all, actually. Am I going to hold this against the knife? No, not really. Pecan is a pretty hard wood. And this is actually a hollow grind. This comes down to a very thin edge, especially out here in the belly. In fact, let me grab that up. I was actually very surprised at how thin this knife is in this area here. Now, the chopping itself, I was getting a lot of power. This blade is kind of shaped for that. I was getting a lot of power into those chops. The handle was holding my hand in really, really nicely. You know, I was getting a lot of power. I wasn't really scared about the knife flying out of my hand. I had great control. But the blade was pretty thin and obviously a little bit hard, right? So we just took chunks out of it. In fact, actually, let me grab a sticky note. Let's see what the edge retention was like. Let's actually test with this little piece that broke off. See how sharp it still is or isn't. It's very, very hard to do. There's a couple of nicks. I can cut with this part. Okay, so I'm gonna set this guy aside before I lose it. I have used this knife for a long time, right? I've had this knife for years and I've used it out on the ranch and in the woods and stuff. And I've used this for breaking down boxes and things. I've also used it for cutting rope. Thank you, computer. I've used it for cutting rope. I've used it for some pretty aggressive cutting, tarps, plastics, things like that. And it has held up wonderfully. It did not hold up to this chopping. Now, this kind of blade, you'd expect it to be, you know, kind of a chopper. But with this hollow grind, maybe I should have known. And actually, you can see it does come down to a thinnish edge for a cold steel. This is more of a heavy-duty cutter than I would say it is a chopper or anything like that. So we're gonna keep that in mind as we go through the rest of this review. But yeah, that happened. I think what I'm gonna do actually is I'm going to sharpen these portions right here and have just some wicked serrations. And maybe I need to get myself another Spartan to go with this guy. This is the most catastrophic failure I've ever had with a cold steel, but I'm not holding it against the knife too much. Obviously, I don't like seeing this, but number one, the edge retention on this knife has been excellent through the years that I've had it. I think that's because this is run a little bit hard, right? A little bit hard for AUS 10. This did have a hollow grind, and through the years that I've owned it and carried it, the cutting performance has been just exceptional. So I'm not going to let this taint too much my review, but we're definitely going to be talking about this more. So, you know what? Maybe I'll see if I can sharpen it up before the review. We'll see. Did you guys enjoy that? I hope you enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. Number one, this is a very striking knife, right? This makes a statement. Even compared to other cold steel knives that are over the top and big and wacky, this one kind of stands alone. It's modeled after the Greek kopis, so we have this very aggressive, very unique handle. This blade is just wild and ridiculous, and the whole knife just looks like something out of a horror movie. It's amazing, and I love it. It's bold, it's unashamed, and yeah, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Next thing. The build quality on this guy is very good. Like all cold steels, it's exactly what you'd expect. It feels solid and robust, but also it feels like a working man's knife, right? This feels like a knife that you're not going to be afraid to bash on. This is a knife that feels like it's ready to go to work, and I really appreciate that. Again, very, very solid. We have the triad lock. Amazing lock. I love the triad lock. Very, very strong, very robust. I mean, basically every part of this knife will fail before the triad lock does. And I know that for a fact. The ergonomics on this thing are very good. They're interesting. This handle is great for chopping because you slide down here and you get hooked there and you are not escaping at all. The scales are contoured. These ridges do add a little bit of texturing, a little bit of grip, and they can be nice. I talked about this in the review cutting though. My hand feels a little bit small for this. For those of you that don't know, we talked about this before on the channel. I think I have weird hands. I've got like regular man-sized palms, but then I have these short, skinny lady fingers. So take that as you will. But my hand just feels, again, it's not bad. Like, I've got a grip on this. It feels great in hand. But I do kind of wish I was just a little bit bigger. I wish... Oh, man. Oh, that is something I have said on the internet and can't take back. Okay. So, I do wish that I was filling up this entire space here. I wish index finger was touching this and pinky finger was touching that in a regular grip, but there's a little bit of space between. If you, yeah, so yeah, there we go. Okay, moving on from that awkward language there. Using the knife is very, very easy. The action is good for a cold steel knife. You have this thumb plate here that actually works really good. Slow rolling this knife is very, very easy. Of course, you have that wave feature, which makes it incredibly fast and easy to open out of the pocket, which I really appreciate. You can thumb flick it. It's a little bit hard right now because I'm behind a camera, but you can thumb flick it if you know what you're doing. So yeah, the action, the usability is pretty solid. It is completely ambidextrous. I do give you another clip in the box. We'll get back to the clip, but triad lock, thumb plate, clip, everything's ambidextrous, so there you go. They're looking out for the lefties, as cold steel normally does. Let's go ahead and talk about the blade. This is a really good blade. So I've had this knife for a long time, years, and I have used it in a variety of situations. I've taken this to work when I was a cowboy, working out in the woods. I took this with me. I used this on the ranch quite a bit, and I always found it to be just an incredibly powerful cutter. Whether I was breaking down boxes or cutting ropes, cutting straps, tarps. I did do some wood processing with this knife. It always just felt like it was a very, very good cutter. You trap material into this recurve. You had this big, aggressive belly. So one thing that I really liked on this knife was sometimes when we'd have shipments of like feed or tools come in on these pallets. You'd have these big, thick plastic ties. This was excellent for just crunching down on those ties. Normally, you know, other guys would be using pliers or bolt cutters to cut these things. With this thing, I was just popping them. So the blade is a very efficient cutter. AUS 10A steel. I love Cold Steel's AUS 10A. The edge retention on this guy was pretty incredible for that steel, in my opinion. You have a hollow grind here, which does increase the cutting performance quite a bit. We're going to go ahead and bring out this little sliver of the blade. You actually get a pretty thin edge. In fact, I did not realize how thin the edge on the Spartan was until I started chopping that pecan log. The spine also is not super thick. I mean, you can see here it's actually a little bit thinner than the, is it a little bit thinner? Let's see here. Just the tiny bit thinner than on the 8015. So yeah, this is a big knife. This is a robust knife, but this blade is actually made for cutting, and it does cut very, very well. So yeah, that's again, yeah, we'll talk. It's not the best chopper per se, or at least mine wasn't. And you'd think it is a good chopper with the shape of this blade, but the geometry they put on this blade actually just really makes it an efficient cutter. So yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, that's really what I like. This knife is an amazing working knife. The ergos are pretty good. If you're someone that finds yourself doing a lot of big cutting tasks, you're cutting a lot of rope, maybe breaking down big boxes, you're cutting straps and zip ties and tarps. You just want a big blade that can trap material and cut it very easily. This is a great knife for you. This is a great knife for you. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some negatives. So my biggest negative with this knife is actually this pocket clip. I think this is a terrible clip. I hate this clip so much. I think this is the worst Cold Steel clip. No room under there. Very tight. I mean, look, you can't even hardly get any pants through there. It's just not a good clip. It's a very, very bad clip, and I rarely used it. Why did I never take it off of the knife? I don't know. I just never bothered for some reason. But I mean, I'd probably be better off taking it off. But terrible clip. I hate it a whole lot. A whole lot. Next thing, this knife does have a lot of screws. I do have a disassembly of this knife up on my channel that's from years ago. You can check that out if you're interested. But this knife does have a lot of screws. There's a lot of parts to keep track of, but it's not that big of a deal. Oh, something I forgot to mention that I like is the stone wash. I'm glad Cold Steel put a stone wash finish on this blade because Cold Steel does a great stone wash. And with a knife like this, I want to have a stone wash because it'll hide wear a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this, right? I'm not a fan of this. This is the most catastrophic failure I've ever had on a Cold Steel knife. Not a big fan of this. But, again, this knife, it looks like a chopper, right? Because of, you know, the shape of this blade and everything, you'd assume that this knife is a chopper, but it's not, okay? The geometry is pretty thin. And like I said, I never even realized how thin the geometry was. As much as I use this knife and, you know, as good of a cutter as it was, I just never realized that. I mean, I knew it was a hollow grind and everything, but I never realized that it was that thin. So I would not say this is a chopping knife. It's just not. It's got the you know, kind of the weight for it. It's got the shape for it, but do not chop with this knife, okay? Do not chop with this knife. Now, this brings up another thing. Now, this is not an issue that I've ever had, but it's something I hear from other people. I hear that sometimes Cold Steel's customer service is not that great. Maybe I will call this in and see if they'll, you know, do anything for me. and I can touch back with you guys on how that customer service is. I've never had to interact with Cold Steel's customer service before. Every issue I've ever had with their knife was very minor, and I was able to fix it myself. Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Cold Steel and see if they will give me any help with this thing. But yeah, there we go. There's the negatives. Let's go ahead and move on to my final conclusions. Price on this guy. These are about $80, and I think that's a great price. I think you're getting a lot of knife for that money. This is very similar to a lot of other Cold Steel classics, the Aus-10 and the Grivex and stuff. Very, very cool. I think the price is competitive compared to Cold Steel's other stuff. Do I recommend this knife? Yes, like I said, if you're someone that has maybe bigger hands or you just have bigger tasks and you need a knife that cuts really, really well, this is a phenomenal cutter. I think the real question here is, do I want to replace this knife in my collection? And the answer is yes. I would be interested in having another Spartan that, isn't got a gap tooth smile. I think I am going to try and sharpen these bits here, just make these into like wicked serrations, but we'll see. So yeah, I do want to replace this knife in my collection. I do like the Spartan a whole lot. This is a fantastic knife. Again, I'm just going to stress, this is a cutter, not a chopper, okay? This does have a hollow grind, and this thing cuts amazingly. This is a very, very powerful cutter. This was me being stupid, so don't be stupid like me. I am a little bit disappointed though. This is the only Cold Steel knife I've had that has not held up to stupidness. But yeah, there we go. I do still recommend this knife, even with these nasty chips taken out of it. But there we go. Let me know what you guys think. Big shout out to my channel members. If you want to become a member, there's a button down below. I really, really appreciate them. They do a whole lot of good stuff for the channel. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I do want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the Spartan and Cold Steel in general. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.